agents telling the truth about their raids on America's streets? Well, no one can deny the chaos that we've seen unfold in the videos, but one judge is denying the validity of the accounts in Chicago. In one incident, a Border Patrol official says that he was hit in the head with a rock. The judge says footage showed that the only object that came near him was a tear gas canister that protesters threw back. In another, an agent reported that he told a crowd to back away before they were gassed and gave them a lot of time to comply with that order. But footage shows that they didn't allow that time at all and threw the gas canister anyway. Agents also claim that a woman threw her bike at them, but video shows that an agent threw the bike and deployed gas.
We got a lot of footage of agents fighting people. And this is just all I'm going to look at all the footage that we have of agents fighting people. I have not seen footage yet of agents lining up a bunch of people and putting them in the back of paddy wagons. I haven't. So what are we building this police state for? What's up? Welcome back to this channel. So today we're going to watch Abby Phillip, Scott Jennings, and Bakari and whoever else is on that panel on Newsnight with Abby Phillip on CNN talk about ICE and what they've been doing, what they've been reporting, and what's going on. Unfortunately, the argument never goes right to the crux of the issue because everybody is busy trying to appease to their own base. That the argument doesn't go where it's supposed to go. I will provide the actual argument that they should have, but that'll be a little later in the video. But again, we're going to watch Abby Phillip, Scott Jennings, and the rest on Newsnight with Abby Phillip on CNN and having this conversation about what has ICE been reporting and what's not really showing itself. Let's get into it.
The list in this scathing review of incidents goes on, from misidentifying people to inciting protesters. The context here is that we have these incidents unfolding, and there is a lot of pushback in places that maybe you wouldn't even anticipate. In middle-class neighborhoods and suburban neighborhoods, just regular people who are kind of growing disturbed by what they're seeing on the streets.
Yeah, I've heard from many folks who were Trump supporters, voted for Trump both times, who's like, well, this is not what I voted for. And what they're referring to specifically are families being torn apart, kids being, having their parents picked up and taken away.
I'm sorry, I just have to say, and I was not going to cut in, I really hate when Scott Jennings does this thing where he puts his hand on the chin and then he looks at the camera like he's looking at the audience like, crazy, isn't she crazy? Like, okay. She could be right about half of what she's saying. Maybe not the whole thing. Maybe people just don't want to see a bunch of federal agents in their streets and they don't understand why. Why are these federal agents in some of these neighborhoods? Because some of these neighborhoods don't really seem like they're harboring that much, illegal immigrants. So I would kind of have some type of way to, I'm a little older than maybe some people listening. I don't know. But, I remember things like Waco, Ruby Ridge, stuff like that. So it's like we're bringing in a bunch of federal agents into my neighborhood. And I want to know why. You know what I mean? Like, should they be here? Who lives here that you're coming to get? So this part of the story might be something that actually makes sense. I don't understand the smug, it makes me so sick when Scott Jennings does this. By the way, guys, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. And I want to thank everybody who is watching this video.
From in front of schools, from having restaurant workers and other folks who are hardworking but undocumented being disappeared from their community. I think the rhetoric and the reality are now crashing together of when you talk about illegals and violence versus the people that are in a community that have been working there and building relationships. There is a massive disconnect. Add on top of that, we already have a criminal justice system that has not been fully transparent. And if it hadn't been for a brave young woman who took 13 minutes of video, the initial police report would never have even mentioned that someone like George Floyd was killed by a police officer. Like, that's on top of what we've already had as a challenge in our justice system.
So to add to what the judge described there in that case, there's also there's a case here where the judge says, the court also notes that in at least one instance, an agent asked ChatGPT to compile a narrative for a report based off of a brief sentence about an encounter and several images. To the extent that agents use ChatGPT to create their use of force reports, this further undermines their credibility and may explain the inaccuracy of these reports, Scott. ChatGPT.
I mean, before Scott answers, so like I said, on this channel, It's not about, oh, I want to be on Abby's side. I want to be on Scott Jennings' side. I want to be on the side of the person who's watching the video, basically the side of the truth, and you deserve 100% the truth. Like, let's straw man this argument just a little bit. Using ChatGPT for documentation is like a joke. Like, that's not even anything that needs to be talked about. Sometimes you could tell when I talk, I'm sure you can tell, I don't finish my thoughts sometimes. Coming up with a sentence, it is easier for me to document by just kind of rough drafting it on ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT can add the punctuations or something. Maybe I missed something with what she said, but to me, it's like, that's not the biggest deal to me. That's just not. I have huge issues with what we're doing, and I will show you what I mean shortly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously I'm not familiar with every single report that's filed and the hundreds of thousands of interactions that are happening. I would like to go back, though, and I'm interested in your two-time Trump voting friends who are apparently phone banking you that are surprised that he is interested in enforcing our immigration laws. Because it is literally what he's been running on since he started in 2015. If you voted for Donald Trump 2 or 3 times and you're unsure about why he's deporting people, I dispute it. I'm just
Scott,
sorry.
We are on totally the same page about this because, as we know, folks like Bakari and I were like, you do realize what this means. This is not only people who've been convicted of court of murder. This means anybody who is undocumented. And I sat here the day after the election with a former Trump spokesperson who said, oh, no. The violent people, the convicted criminals, they will go first. That was here on CNN a year ago. Over and over again, people were being gaslit about literally what was coming out of the president's mouth.
President Trump had said, and I want to go back to this, he has completed every single one of his platform points at the RNC convention last summer. And if anyone is surprised, the actions President Trump has taken, they've literally had a bag over their head for the last 10 years. I want to finish this.
Please do.
I was President Trump's immigration spokesperson in the...
Bakari Sellers is such a nut with his Beijing. Sorry. I just can't stand Bakari Sellers, okay? And just let me be a little, indulge me in my... in my sins or whatever you want to call it. But it's like, dude, like really, I just feel like he has nothing to offer. But I'm going to use his material though. So thank you, Bakari Sellers, for uploading this video.
First term. I have been saying this on the record since we shut down the government to build the wall back in 2018. We are removing every single illegal alien that's in this country. And I would say a majority of those who've been removed have had serious violent crimes.
That's not true.
Today in the New Yorker.
That's not true.
I wouldn't even make the violent crimes argument. Deporting is deporting. That's it. So let's have a real conversation. People voted for Trump to deport illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants is illegal immigrants, okay? You can feel how you want about it. This is so-called the mandate that was given to them to do. I don't see it being done. So much so, it's almost like they've even been given an amnesty. And there's a reason why I'm making this point. But let me just show you what I mean about a kind of amnesty.
The Trump administration is giving people in the U.S. illegally more incentive to leave the country on their own. As reporter Alexandra Hoff explains, that incentive includes a payment of $3,000.
It's home for the holidays seasons.
The Trump administration wants to help migrants reunite with their families. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announcing her department is tripling the incentive for illegal aliens to leave voluntarily before the end of the year.
We'll buy you a ticket, give you $3,000 to go home, and that includes people that have not been detained, maybe have interacted with us, are detained and don't have criminal charges against them.
The holiday incentive comes as the Trump administration increasingly cracks down on those who enter the country illegally and programs allowing people to come to the U.S. legally. After 2 National Guard soldiers were shot in Washington, D.C. by an Afghan national, the White House suspended.
Right. So the only reason why I'm going to stop there is because I'm afraid that this might end up becoming copyright, and I don't, I have no time for that kind of issue. That said, I'm sorry. That said, what you just heard was a bunch of, to say we're going to give you more money to self-deport. Nobody's self-deporting, okay? That $3,000, first of all, they're offering more of your taxpayer dollars to people for them to leave. Or, I don't know, maybe you can just round them up like you said you would. This is what I mean. What I'm saying is First of all, Trump was talking about an amnesty for people who work in the hotels and the farming community. He never came out and gave a full, like, executive order amnesty, but he's also not cracking down on certain areas on purpose. So you have this agency called ICE that's supposed to go everywhere. There's no holds bar everywhere. They're supposed to go everywhere to find illegals. And instead, they keep showing up in the same kind of like city areas, and to me it's just mostly agitating protesters. But we still have federal agents inside of the state cities and all of that, you know, doing what they want to do. And that's just really what I call it. That is what I call it, because here's the thing. We are giving up some liberty, right, for safety. Let's call it what it is. You know, this Department of Homeland Security came out after the Patriot Act, right? Because supposedly a bunch of terrorists just came in here and did a thing on 9/11. Nobody looks into the inside of 9/11, but if by now I'm pretty sure most people know the true story of 9/11. So always it's give up more liberty for safety. But I'm not seeing the incentive. I'm just not seeing it. This is the argument. They don't report the numbers, and you don't see the footage of these mass deportations happening. Whether you're for deportations or not, that should still be your argument, because then you can say, why are these people even here in my neighborhood? Because it looks like arms of the federal government are just showing up in my neighborhood. And then today, Kristi Noem announced, I knew they were using drones at the southern border. I already knew that. But the way she makes it seem about we're going to protect our infrastructure makes me feel like the drones are coming, you know, what are they going to be like out here in the neighborhoods just so-called looking for illegals? What kind of police state are we creating for something that's not happening, and who is it for? Those are the questions that I think need to be answered.